Raiders QB Aidan O'Connell injured. Gardner Minshew steps in. Gardner Minshew II returned to action as the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback after starter Aidan O'Connell exited Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams with a thumb injury. Early reports indicate that O'Connell may have suffered a broken thumb on his throwing hand, with further evaluations set for Monday. The injury occurred during the Raiders' second possession when Rams safety Cameron Curl made contact with O'Connell's right hand while he followed through on a pass. O'Connell immediately showed signs of pain, and after being examined by trainers, he was escorted to the locker room. As a result, Minshew took over at quarterback, but the Raiders were unable to capitalize, ultimately falling to the Rams 20-15. Minshew completed 15 of 34 passes for 154 yards, but struggled with 3 interceptions. This was a challenging outing for O'Connell, who had just been named the starter following a disappointing performance from Minshew earlier in the season. O'Connell's first start came last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but now the Raiders sit at 2-5 following their latest loss. The team will await confirmation of O'Connell's injury status as they look to regroup for the upcoming games. Stephon Diggs in heated altercation with Jaire Alexander before game. Tensions flared at Lambeau Field on Sunday as Houston Texans star wide receiver Stephon Diggs found himself in a heated scuffle with Green Bay Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander before the game even started. The two had to be separated after their confrontation escalated, with Packers head coach Matt LaFleur and multiple officials stepping in to prevent a larger brawl. "I was walking to the locker room at the beginning of the game and I heard somebody chirping," Diggs recounted. "I'm never the bigger person. I ain't letting S*T go." Despite the drama, the game went off without a hitch, with the Packers ultimately clinching a 24-22 victory thanks to a last-second 45-yard field goal from Brandon McManus. Diggs had a tough outing, finishing with just 5 catches for 23 yards, marking a season low for the veteran receiver. The rivalry between Diggs and Alexander is well documented, with Diggs typically having the upper hand in their previous matchups, catching 44 passes for 419 yards and 6 touchdowns in their prior 5 encounters. Sunday, however, was a different story, as he hadn't faced the Packers since the 2022 season when he played for the Buffalo Bills. Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans addressed the situation, emphasizing the need for focus on the game rather than distractions. "We don't want to encourage that. We just want to go out and play ball the right way," he stated. Through 7 games this season, Diggs has recorded 392 yards and 3 touchdowns on 37 catches. The loss snapped the Texans' 3-game win streak, leaving them with a 5-2 record as they prepare to host the Indianapolis Colts next week. Deshaun Watson leaves game in tears with potential Achilles injury. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson was carted off the field in tears during Sunday's 21-14 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Early tests suggest he may have suffered a serious Achilles injury. The incident occurred in the first half as Watson attempted to scramble, planting his right leg before collapsing in pain. Athletic trainers rushed to his side as backup quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson prepared to take over. Watson covered his face with a towel as he was wheeled away, with the Browns soon ruling him out for the remainder of the game. Thompson-Robinson struggled in relief, completing just 11 of 24 passes for 82 yards and 2 interceptions. Jameis Winston came in later, throwing a late touchdown to David Njoku but unable to change the outcome. Watson's career has been tumultuous since his trade to the Browns from the Houston Texans in 2022. Despite being a 3-time Pro Bowler, his time in Cleveland has been marred by injuries and off-field controversies, including multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. The Browns signed Watson to a historic 5-year, $230 million contract, fully guaranteed, an unprecedented move that sparked much debate. Watson has faced significant challenges on the field, struggling with his performance and injuries since arriving in Cleveland. Before this game, Watson was averaging just 170 yards per game in 2024, with a dismal quarterback rating of 76.6, the worst of his career. With the Browns now sitting at 1-6, they are in desperate need of a turnaround. Adding to the turmoil, Watson faced new allegations earlier this season, though that case was settled in October. The NFL is still investigating these matters under its personal conduct policy. Stay tuned for updates on Watson's condition and what this means for the Browns as they navigate a challenging season. NFL. Brandon Ayuk, injury update. San Francisco 49ers, ACL injury. Kansas City Chiefs. Football news. Wide receiver injuries. Sports analysis. NFL recap. The NFC North heavyweights are all in action in the early window. The Minnesota Vikings are no longer undefeated. The Detroit Lions, on the foot of young kicker Jake Bates, served the Vikings their first loss of the 2024 season. Despite an illegal formation penalty that gave the Vikings 1 second to run one final play, which ended with QB Sam Darnold being sacked, the Lions won 31-29 and are now in first place in the NFC North. This was a wild contest from beginning to end. The Vikings jumped out to a lead in the first quarter with 10 unanswered points. But then the Lions remembered they are built to score touchdowns and started doing just that. In the second quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs scored the first of his 2 touchdowns. Then Amon-Ra St. Brown scored a TD on the next possession. Gibbs followed that with his second rushing TD. Then the Vikings took over, opening the second half with a touchdown, while the Lions were able to score a TD of their own. They weren't able to match the Vikings' offensive output in the fourth quarter. 2 field goals and a scoop and score off the hands of David Montgomery gave the Vikings a 1-point lead going into the final minutes. Down 29-28, the Lions ran the clock down to the 19-second mark. Their win rested on the foot of Bates, a 2023 undrafted free agent who signed with the Lions earlier this year. He'd never been involved in a kick like that during his short NFL career. But he nailed it, giving the Lions a 31-29 win. While his arm didn't end the game, Lions QB Jared Goff was absolutely dialed in against the Vikings. He ended the day 22 of 25 with 280 yards and 2 TD passes. 49ers fear Brandon Ayuk has suffered a ACL injury in Chiefs loss. The San Francisco 49ers season took a devastating turn as wide receiver Brandon Ayuk may have sustained a serious ACL injury during their 28-18 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Late in the first half, Ayuk made a critical catch over the middle, but was met with a hard hit that caused his knee to buckle. He remained on the field for a while before walking off, only to be carted to the locker room shortly after halftime. The team confirmed he would not return to the game, and head coach Kyle Shanahan expressed concern that Ayuk could be facing an ACL injury. This setback is particularly disheartening for Ayuk, who recently signed a lucrative 4-year, $120 million contract after a tumultuous offseason filled with trade rumors. Despite the expectations, he had struggled to find his rhythm this season, totaling just 351 yards and no touchdowns over 6 games. And even dropped a long pass earlier in the game. Ayuk's injury adds to the growing list of challenges for the 49ers. Star running back Christian McCaffrey has yet to take the field this season. And first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall only made his NFL debut after recovering from a gunshot wound. Additionally, Deebo Samuel Sr. exited Sunday's game early due to illness. With Ayuk's potential absence, the 49ers face an uphill battle as they try to turn their season around amidst a slew of injuries. The team's sluggish start this season is becoming a serious concern for fans and players alike. Stay tuned for updates on Ayuk's condition and what it means for the 49ers moving forward.